The space race was a significant period during the Cold War era, marked by the technological and ideological rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. Each nation was driven by a desire to demonstrate their superiority, not just in terms of exploration, but also through the lens of political ideology, capitalism versus communism. The space race is generally considered to have started with the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik 1. On October 4, 1957, the world witnessed the first artificial satellite orbiting Earth, a profound achievement indicating that the Soviet Union was ahead in space technology. The tiny satellite beeped signals back to Earth, a sound that resonated with both fear and admiration across the globe. In response to Sputnik, America hastily proceeded with Project Vanguard, aiming to launch a satellite with a Navy-built rocket. However, this effort faced setbacks, most notably when the Vanguard TV-3 failed during a televised launch, an embarrassing moment for the United States. With urgency spurred by Soviet successes, the United States initiated the Mercury program, intending to send humans into space. This program was pivotal in paving the way for future manned flights. In November 1957, the Soviet Union stunned the world once more by sending Laika, a stray dog, into orbit aboard Sputnik 2. Though the mission ended tragically for Laika, it demonstrated the ability to sustain life in space, further intensifying the competition. Recognizing the need for an organized space effort, the United States established the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, on July 29, 1958. This organization would be responsible for executing the nation's ambitious space endeavors. On April 12, 1961, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human to journey into outer space and orbit Earth aboard Vostok 1. His flight was a major propaganda victory for the Soviet Union. In response to Gagarin's success, American astronaut John Glenn made his historic orbit around Earth aboard Friendship 7 on February 20th, 1962, asserting America's presence in manned space exploration. Both nations invested heavily in unmanned lunar probes in the early 60s. While Soviet missions like Luna 2 impacted the Moon, America's Ranger series faced numerous challenges, yet collected significant data on the Moon's surface. To develop the necessary skills for lunar missions, the United States embarked on the Gemini program, which conducted 10 manned missions between 1965 and 1966, testing innovations like space docking and extravehicular activities. Simultaneously, the Soviet Union pursued the Voskhod program. Voskhod 2 saw Alexei Leonov perform the first spacewalk in 1965, pushing the boundaries of human endurance and technological capability. Determined to beat the Soviets to the moon, President John F. Kennedy announced the ambitious Apollo program, grounded in audacity and innovation. This program aimed to land Americans on the moon within a decade. The United States achieved significant success with the Lunar Orbiter program, which mapped the moon's surface to select suitable landing sites for future Apollo missions. Not without their setbacks, the Soviet Union faced several mishaps, including the failure of the N-1 rocket, intended to send cosmonauts to the moon, which exploded during tests. The Apollo program faced its own tragedies, particularly with the Apollo 1 mission in 1967, where cabin fire during a pre-launch test killed all 3 astronauts on board, a somber reminder of the risks involved. In efforts to beat America to a lunar mission, the USSR launched several Zond missions aiming for circumlunar flights, but some were hindered by technical failures. During the late 60s, the Soviet Union secretly designed lunar modules in the hope of sending cosmonauts to the moon, paralleling America's lunar ambitions. December 21st, 1968, marked a triumphant moment as Apollo 8 became the first manned spacecraft to leave Earth's orbit, circle the moon, and safely return, setting the stage for a lunar landing. On July 20th, 1969, the world watched as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the lunar surface, marking America's victory in the space race. The phrase, "one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," resounded globally. Although never sending humans to the moon, the Soviet Union continued their unmanned exploration, with missions like Luna 16 successfully returning soil samples from the lunar surface in 1970. In the 1970s, the Soviets shifted focus to space stations, launching the first Salyut 1 in 1971. Despite its short operational life, it paved the way for long-duration missions in orbit. The Apollo program faced another test with Apollo 13, which ever so narrowly averted disaster. The crew's safe return, despite the explosion that crippled their spacecraft, showcased true ingenuity and bravery. Continuing their presence in space, the United States launched Skylab in 1973, demonstrating capabilities for long-term human habitation in space, though it faced early mechanical challenges. In a rare moment of international cooperation, July 1975 saw the Apollo-Soyuz test project, a symbolic handshake in space between American and Soviet astronauts, marking a thawing of Cold War tensions. Post-Apollo, the United States developed the Space Shuttle program, aiming for reusable spacecraft, proving a new model for conducting missions and scientific research in space. Both nations explored possibilities of Mars, though the Soviets' Mars 3 became infamous for its 20-second transmission, whereas America's Viking 1 and Viking 2 successfully landed and conducted experiments. In response, the Soviet Union developed Buran, an eerily similar design to the American shuttle, which completed one unmanned spaceflight in 1988, though it never flew again due to funding cuts. Continuing their prowess in orbit, the Soviet Union launched the Mir space station in 1986, leading to unprecedented research and international collaborations in space. Tragedy again struck the Space Shuttle program with the Challenger disaster in 1986, which grounded American spaceflight and led to sweeping changes in NASA's policies and procedures. 1990 saw the launch of the Hubble Space Telescope, transforming our understanding of the universe. Though initially marred by a flaw in its mirror, subsequent repairs would answer fundamental cosmic questions.